hello again, KCIW listeners, and welcome to Curry Café. I'm producer and volunteer Rick McNamer. Every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m., your host Ray Gary puts together a panel of guests to discuss topics of interest in our community. Listeners can participate by texting questions or comments to 541-661-4098. Again, to text or ask a question or ask for advice today on a special show, 541-661-4098. Now here's Ray to tell us about today's show.
Well, as in every week, we have searched the community far and wide, only to find out that two perfect people are right in our KCIW midst. They're here all the time. So they can, I'll turn the radio. Okay.
Turn the microphone.
Turn the mic over to them, and they can introduce themselves and maybe straighten me out a little, you know.
Hello, this is Shirley Hyatt again, and I'm occasionally here. So here I am today with my good pal, Billy Ruth Furuichi.
Yes, this is Billy, and I'm here occasionally as well and Shirley and I always love to be together on these shows. Somehow we kind of bounce off of each other nicely, I think.
Yeah.
Somehow it always works.
Somehow.
And if I may, real quick, the quick premise is our idea. We got some ideas a couple of weeks ago when we were all having fun dining and laughing and doing our thing, and we started talking about different topics, and we're going to start today's show kind of with talking about our young love life or our young loves and what music we can kind of remember that went along with that, whether it was joyful or mine turns out to a lot of heartache every once in a while, but that kind of thing. And then just a little later, we're going to go, I've garnered or gleaned through my newspapers and got some advice columns that we're going to try to read, and I'll read the advice columnist's answer, my opinion, and we'll throw it out to the therapy ladies, what we're calling the therapy ladies today, who are not professional therapists, but probably better.
I'm licensed, but not for this.
And Ray Gary. Okay, so
Same here, yeah. We have licenses for several things.
And it doesn't have to be that. If you want advice on whether or not you should buy that $600,000 house that's up on the hill, you might want to check that out with them too. So you can get a hold of us by 541-661-4098. So we're going to start out talking about how music influenced our young life. Is that it?
Yeah.
I think music starts us out in life. We were talking earlier about people who are really musical and people who just listen to music. And, you know, there's a whole variety of music out there for people to listen to. But we start out in life, I think, with a natural kind of music that comes between the baby and the parent. And I think it's almost universal that people hum to their little babies or they sing to them. And a lot of childhood songs are what get implanted in our brain, and usually we don't forget them. They're there to stay, you know?
Right.
In fact, it is said that babies can hear music through the womb. And if you're pregnant and you sing to your child in the womb, they will remember these melodies as they grow up.
Come out singing.
Yeah, come out singing.
There used to be a theory that you'd be playing classical music to the children, that they'd be smarter when they're born or something like that. I don't know.
They'll be calmer, I think.
Well, and
I think it would have ruined them. I mean,
that's
to me, it'd be Rolling Stones, Crosby, Stills.
Yeah, your music would surely make it difficult for a child to keep their milk down.
Get them ready to go, man. I was a young person learning about life at the time when music was transitioning, I guess. We were kind of done with the big band stuff, and we were doing maybe show tunes, and Frank Sinatra was still around, that type of thing. It was what our parents used to call good music. And then
it still is, honey.
Agreed.
But the music was transitioning, and things like rock and roll came in, and doo-wops, and all kinds of interesting stuff that kind of where my ideas on life came from. And being a very young person, not very naive, I kind of thought that I was learning about life through the words of songs. Oh, that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I should say something to her. I should get a motorcycle. I should just,
Yeah. Well, in fact, this is interesting because when I was between the 7th and 8th grade, I went to a summer camp, summer leadership camp. And one of the young student counselors, we had a dance one time, and I was just gaga over this kid. Monty Garcia was his name. And he asked me.
He may still be out there.
I'm going to say, Monty, if you're listening.
Text in, Monty.
This was in Denver, who knows? But there was a song. Who did Do You Want to Dance? Was it the Everly Brothers or was it
No, Bobby Freeman.
But
Bobby Freeman.
Bobby Freeman. Oh, do you want to dance?
Yeah, that would not be Everly Brothers stuff.
And Monty came over to me and asked me to dance, and I was just in seventh heaven. And that song stuck with me for the rest of my life.
But who sang it didn't stick with you, evidently.
No, is it true?
Probably didn't matter. It was just the that's wonderful. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the type of thing I'm talking about. This is how we learned about life from the music.
Well, and there's a lot of broken-hearted music out there.
oh
When
my
you start
goodness,
to
yes.
think about it. So many broken love affairs, and people. What we were talking about earlier is that music has the power to heal as well as to, bring out all your sadness. It can also make you feel better. If you're feeling like you're really down in the dumps, you can put on a piece of music and it might raise your spirits. And
I distinctly, I wasn't a kid when this happened. I was in my 30s, but I could distinctly remember one day I was sitting at home on my day off, and my wife was off at work, and just turned on the television just for the heck of it. And I can't think of the name of the group now.
Uh-oh.
The a cappella group that...
Oh, Frankie Valli?
No, God,
come
Oh,
on.
my guy ticked off Ray.
Mitch Miller.
no.
Acapella, the Five.
They sang mostly music from the 40s and some rock and roll. I'll think of it after a while. Anyway, they
The
came
Four
on.
Aces or the Four Freshmen?
no.
Okay, never mind.
Anyway, they
No,
came.
maybe.
No.
Let him finish.
Finish your story, Ray.
They came on, and within 15 minutes of that show, I was flying high. I was just, wow, these guys are so good.
Had nothing to do with what you ate or drank, right? I mean,
No, had nothing to do with that. No.
so
And
music.
at that time, on Long Island, marijuana was not only very illegal, but it was something that only the bad people did.
Now we
You
know.
wanted to see people going smoking marijuana. You just went into Greenwich Village where they'd be shooting up on the stoops and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Bad.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Oh, there's songs
how
about
did-
that.
how did we get-
Manhattan Transfer.
Manhattan Transfer.
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
Well, hopefully,
I've seen them. They are great.
They are good. They're very good.
Fantastic.
we have evolved from those days, and on the Curry Café, I was going to say, did we order yet?
Nothing showing up yet, but the waiter will bring in the food shortly.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah, I'm starving
yes.
for one. Maybe listening to a song will make me feel not so hungry. What do you think?
Well, we had talked about, unfortunately, we're not there yet. We were talking about this earlier at our meal a couple of days ago, how we would like to play some of these songs, but we're just not ready for that yet. Maybe on our next time we discuss
Well,
it,
we're
we
ready
can.
for it. We have to get the equipment together
Right.
that will allow us to do
Our
that.
ideas go way beyond our technology.
There you
Yeah.
go.
They
That's
don't,
right.
doesn't fit at all.
And we'll queue up the proper song at the proper moment in our advice column. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, so we all have pretty different memories of the songs that remind us, I suppose, of young love. Now, mine, this is very odd, but this is when I first, I think, recognized, gosh, I think I like girls. And it has to do with, as crazy as this sounds, watching the Beverly Hillbillies with Donna Douglas as Ellie Mae Clampett.
That's not crazy. That's not crazy at all.
I
That's
can
right
see
on,
Donna
man.
Douglas in my mind right now. I understand.
I think it was the first time I kind of remember how probably 9 or 10, whatever that area is, and it was like, oh, so I fell in love with her and the bluegrass start to the Beverly Hillbillies. So not quite the most romantic song, but that's what reminds me of my first inclination that, gee, I think I like to be with some girls.
Wait
you
wait a minute. I'm going to tell you a story about a man named Jed. That was your introduction
It's
to girls.
hearts and flowers all over the place.
Well, I think little children do feel love for their best friends or for their,
Oh, yeah.
little girls always seem to love each other madly, not in a sexual kind of way, but there really is strong affection. And also with little boys I remember thinking, I want to marry him, when I'm like 8 years old, but still that imagery is there in our minds as children, that we think we will find somebody that we will be in love with, even if we don't even know what that's supposed to feel like.
I talked about learning about life from music, and at that time the music was fairly naive, and it only went just so far, and it really was not terribly accurate, other than the "She Left Me" or something like that. But I think today's music, kids get some real lessons about.
Today is a whole different. Yeah, this is true, and the same with not only with music, but in the visuals. It's so much more out there than it used to be. It used to be in movies that you couldn't even show a man and a wife sleeping in the same bed. They had to be twin beds.
Right.
Startling.
Ricky and Lucy were in twin beds, even when she was pregnant.
Yeah. Gee, immaculate conception.
That's a great point, Billy. And on that point, my wife's and I, one of our favorite movies was Picnic with William Holden and
Kim Novak.
Now, my wife felt that was one of the sexiest scenes when Kim Novak comes down the stairs and they're playing. Can't remember the song.
The song.
Maybe Imitation of Life. No,
No.
wasn't that? No.
It's terrible that I'm having that brain freeze. But anyway, and it was.
Yeah. Sandra Dee was the young ingenue in that movie, I think.
I think you're thinking of a different movie.
Oh, am I?
But anyway, the fact was there's no gratuitous physical, other than the dance.
Well, they
but
were
the
dancing
dance
out
They
in
were
the
dancing.
and the looks that each of them gave. That was very romantic, if I can say that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of her favorites.
Today's movies just throw that romantic crap just out the window.
Well, I mean,
we jump right to lust.
Yeah, don't mess around.
Right.
Yeah.
And the music isn't as good either. Today.
Don't tell Ray that.
I won't.
He
tell
likes
Ray
contemporary.
That. Well, I just don't like the way they throw these strange songs in the middle of love scenes and they're just, those songs never go anywhere.
Well, you know what, Billy, we're old. And
I know. This is true.
Seriously, the music that kids listen to today, I would go out on a limb here and say a lot of it is more rap and, politically, or it has whole different meanings than the simple little love songs that we think of.
And it doesn't have a good tune anymore. There's just these
I'm on your team with that, yeah. They haven't used up all the great melodies. But when you think about it, if you picture a keyboard in front of you and you go, well, what's an octave? Well, that 8 notes, 2 of them, one being the octave higher than the other. From all of that come these myriad, all the music is based on that little scale.
It's miraculous.
It really is phenomenal. All the different combinations, and it's sort of like a computer in a way, I suspect. So it has a profound effect on our brains, and music it can lift our spirits. It can make us sad. We can make us want to get up and dance. It's calming. It just is so powerful. And then when you put words to it, and you get away from some Rachmaninoff lovely strain or Tchaikovsky, and then put some words to it, then it has double the power, and then the words take over. I've actually talked to people who say, I never listen to the words, and I'm thinking, how could you not?
Yeah.
How could you not hear the words? Oh, well, I'm just listening to the beat.
Oh, no.
Well, Ray's nodding because, there are people who just give me the beat. That's all I want. I want a beat. I want something I can
do. I don't know if you call that the melody and whatever. And a lot of people who never listen to the words.
Isn't that funny?
That's odd. I couldn't, I don't think I would like a song if I couldn't understand the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, reflecting back on my youth, a lot of the songs that I remember at the time, now with a phone, you can just pull it up. I didn't know what this person said. You just pull it up and you can get all the words there, which I kind of like that piece or that factor. Away from the silliness of the Beverly Hillbillies. Sorry, I went there, but that's
okay.
That's just fact.
That was cool.
We won't tell anyone.
Keep your standards a little. This is
I know.
This is an incredibly sophisticated program. We'd like to keep our standards up where they should be.
But my first 2, I would call them more serious loves, if you will, were in high school, and the two ladies that I got kicked off from one and then went to another.
Oh dear.
But
oh dear.
I
Let's
think
hear more
of
about
two
that.
albums that I think of a lot that made me think of those times. And one was The Sounds of Silence with Simon and Garfunkel.
Right.
Because one of my girlfriends at the time, that was her favorite. And I remember buying her the album for her birthday. And another one was after she dropped me, I had another lady that was a Carole King fan and the Tapestry album.
I love
It's a wonderful album. Yeah.
Those two albums really make me think of, those old days of having my first girlfriends, I suppose.
Well, that's what music does.
It does.
Music and smells, both of those things will bring back memories like they're right there.
I have the Tapestry album at home, as a matter of fact, on a 33. Maybe we can get some of those songs off of it to program into our show.
And she's still performing.
She is. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Never stops. Really, a lot of the great performers are still performing, in their
Music
old
can
age.
bring back good memories and bad memories.
Right.
Certain songs have put me right in the mud and my fatigues, hoping nobody kills me today.
Yeah. Well, that's...
Yeah.
I wouldn't call those love songs, I suppose, but
No.
I know what you're saying, man. I know what you're saying.
No, but they bring back the other thing that brings back that same memory is the smell of diesel fuel.
Oh my goodness.
Now, is there a song that goes with the smell of diesel fuel?
Probably would be, or certainly the sound of a Yui going by.
Oh,
and I can
gosh,
tell a Yui
yeah.
from any other helicopter.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Did that spark a sense of danger for you? The
Oh
smell?
no. It's never done anything like that. It's there. I'm sure. Like I don't know. Maybe if you see a certain sign on 42nd Street, it brings you back to a time when you were there as a young lady.
Or Route 66, driving down Route 66.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and
With
then
the radio on. With the radio on.
Radio
Yep.
on.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
So the last couple of songs I wanted for when I finally found the love of my life, and that was my wife, we had two songs. One was the Beatles version of "Till There Was You" that came from
Music Man.
Music Man. But the Beatles, I thought, did a wonderful version of that with some great acoustic guitar work. And another one was, it's been done by a lot of people, was, God, here I go, I'm starting to stumble. Let Me Call You Sweetheart.
Oh my gosh, that's an
And it was
oldie.
because
That's an oldie.
I can't remember.
Did I tell you this was a sophisticated show? And we have to keep the standards up just a
We
little
have to
bit.
be honest here. Anyway, those are
There's a
both
limit
very-
to what honesty has to.
Well,
no.
like I said, the other songs I was talking about, the two albums where I got dumped, but everybody gets dumped, I suppose. It happened to me a few times.
I have, yeah. But the songs that I remember are the ones that I fell in love to. When I went to Japan and I married a Japanese master chef who had the most gorgeous voice, and we would go to karaoke. It's not karaoke, it's karaoke.
It is to most of us.
Well,
honey.
I know.
You're American now, girl.
I'm
We
American.
say it the way we say it because we're Americans.
Karaoke, it means empty orchestra.
Oh.
So they put the orchestra on, and then you get up on stage and you fill the orchestra with your voice. Well, Isamu had the most gorgeous voice, and
I
he
can
would-
vouch for that.
Oh, yeah. And he sang this incredible song it was a Japanese song, but it was in the style of a 1940s song. And he could, I'll have to play it for you sometime on air when we get to the point where we can actually record songs. And it's a song, and I fell in love with him listening to him sing that song at karaoke.
Yeah. It has that power. Well, we both someone who will remain nameless. We both know someone who used to perform all the time here in this community, and one of the people who used to go and hear this person fell madly in love with him. Well, he was married and she was married.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. What do we do, therapy lady?
Therapy.
What do you do when you fall in love with the? Well, what's that famous song? Let's see, "Killing Me Softly."
Whoa, what
Black?
Yeah. Well, you fall in love with the person who's performing the music because that evokes that feeling, and it's not personal. Although impossible to separate the two.
Let me consult my cards.
Okay, we're going to get an answer. What do you do when you fall in love with this?
Perhaps I could consult my cards.
Maybe you could tell us what your cards are.
My cards are for transformation and going into the essential one. This one says release.
Oh, really? Let go of him, huh?
As matters evaporate and dissipate into the clouds after a sweet rainfall, I watch as they gather and fall again into the high mountain tops of the
Oh, my goodness.
standing pines. Endless cycles continue. I am prepared to enter into my deep, quiet pool of creative healing light.
Now, how
So
do-
perhaps this person could just release.
Are you listening this person who needs to have some release in their life?
I think so. I think this is the
were
point.
you channeling somebody there? Is that what was going on?
I was channeling myself, dear.
No, but that is the kind of magic that I think music coming from a voice that really resonates with us. Now, Ray and I have had these conversations forever about the voices that we like the sound of. And I'll say, well, that person doesn't sing right clearly on pitch. And he'll go, what does that mean? You know, if you're listening to a lot of the music from the 50s, which I don't deny, there's a lot of it that's really fantastic. But a lot of these people, they're not really great vocalists. They don't all sing dead on right with their pitch, but they're making music that makes people happy and they dance to it and they feel good about the lyric or whatever. But they're not there because they're Frank Sinatra, you know.
And if it's an emotional presentation and done with...
And the kids can relate to it, or
Yeah.
the people of that era can relate to it.
There are singers and there are songs that certain people, Bob Dylan being, he doesn't have a great voice, but he sings some of his music like nobody else can sing it.
Yeah. And
Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
exactly.
How about Neil Young? I think we talked about this the other day.
Yeah. Neil Young has a voice that he can sing his song or songs that he can interpret in his way.
Right.
But are there famous female vocalists that can get away with that? I can't think of one.
Janis Joplin?
Oh, well, yeah, but
please.
she was really a good singer. No, she was on pitch.
But
she
not
was
a
good
classic
vocal.
voice, I guess is what.
Not a classic voice. No, that's true. But she was a very good singer. Yeah.
And by the way, if you have any, ask for advice or want to comment here, we have a text line, remember, 541-661-4098. And what we talked about earlier, that sounds like a great segue. We do have another premise here today with possible therapy ladies who are
If you've got a
not
problem, let us know
professional.
because we can fix it.
But
You know, we've got a song.
well,
We've got a song that
Got
we
a
can
song that'll fix your
recommend.
problem.
see if you can put a song to this one. Now, what I've done over the last couple of weeks, as we talked about at our breakfast the other day, gone through my newspapers and see there's a lot of columnists these days, advice columnists, not just Dear Abby. So I've been culling, if you will, some of these ones. Now, I've always felt that are these people writing their own letters sometimes? Well, they might be.
No, I think genuinely
Who
a
would
lot
do
of them
something like that?
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, so the first one I have, I'm going to put it out there, and I've condensed it. I can't read the whole thing. But a lady wants to bring home a shelter cat that she's warmed up to because she's a volunteer at the shelter. But the boyfriend says, no, too much responsibility and mess. So Harriet is the lady that answered, says, leave the cat at the shelter.
Oh, my
Now, that's
goodness.
pretty, that's condensed. But me, I was like, maybe, but maybe be very wary of people that don't like pets. Now, that's my answer.
You're gonna screw up a relationship because the cat has to stay in the shelter.
Okay,
I mean,
But what
I
happened in
love cats,
negotiation?
but I'm sorry, cat, you're staying in the shelter.
Well, okay, that's Ray's opinion.
Somebody else will take you tomorrow. That doesn't have a boyfriend.
I'm sorry. I think this advice is dead wrong because if you're married to someone, and
No, this is boyfriend, girlfriend. This,
they're not married.
yeah,
But still, if it's a committed relationship,
You bet.
and the other person wants to bring a cat, and the other person says, no, I don't want your cat. Hey, that's the end of the relationship right there. Whatever happened to negotiation? Whatever happened to talking it out?
And
Whatever happened to putting on a song and dancing with maybe dancing
with
with
your cat
the
or
cat.
dog.
That's it. That's it. Put on the song and dance a little bit, and let's review this cat thing.
Yes.
Well,
So, Shirley, what do you think about
well,
this
I
little
think that
conundrum?
I think that pets are so personal, and there are people who will rescue anything because they think, oh, that poor thing that needs rescuing, and very often the opposite is true of the other person. They don't have that
Love of that?
sensibility that says, oh, I'd better take in every stray cat I can find because they are, there's something to be said about the way people look at the situation. And if you don't see it the same way, if you don't both say, oh, yeah, that would be great, let's take in the cat, then look at the relationship. If you think that you want the relationship, that's how it's going to be. That person is not ever going to want a cat in your
Right.
life, and if you want the cat, then you're bound to get into trouble. However, having said
And
that, sometimes the other person comes around and goes, I didn't know I could love an animal.
Yes, she probably rescued her relationship. She probably rescued the guy.
Maybe the cat saved the day.
Maybe she's just a rescuer, and she brings these people
Well, and
into
then
her
she-
life, and
oh,
then
dear.
that's,
You
then
could
that's
throw
her
that up as a
problem.
line. Hey, look, I took you in.
I took you in.
Well, and there you go. That's the trouble, and pretty soon. Oh, my.
So there you go. We have a few different opinions.
Yeah, so I remember in the one Monty Python movie, I think it was Life of Brian, where they come across this hermit that's living in a hole, and he hasn't said a word to anybody or anything, and you don't remember that? And they did something that pissed him off, and he said something, and then it ruined his whole a whole life of not doing anything.
That
Sometimes that seems like an easier way, doesn't it?
Well,
I'm too damn lazy to dig a hole that deep, though. I don't.
The guy was living a life of silence.
Yes, yeah. It was silent meditation. It's long. Didn't have any clothes on, but he had a long beard and that kind
Right,
of thing.
right. Yeah.
We're talking
Well-
Monty Python here. No?
Yeah, but
I love
see
Monty
now you're
Python.
bringing up something that's so important, whether we're talking musically or not, and that's a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if people don't have a sense of humor, somehow they're really missing out. You have to be able to laugh at yourself and at others in a way that's not hurtful. But a lot of things, if you put some humor into it, it seems like it dissolves the issue automatically.
Certainly
You
does.
start to look at it in a different way. So that's my advice. Get some humor in there.
Yeah.
Make light of it. Well, not to be dismissive, but if you can lighten it up a little bit and stand back, then most of the things that we think of as, oh, I'm in such trouble, I don't know what to do, I better write to this person who doesn't know me and ask them.
Yeah.
And that-
and that may be the problem right there too.
I thought about that too. I'm like, who in the heck would even write this in? And then I'll jump to these.
Somebody who
crazy-
wants their name in the paper,
Well,
for one.
Do they have no friends that can consult?
Yeah.
Now, what's that?
They don't have any friends that can consult?
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't trust their friends to tell them the truth. No, there's a lot of that.
They don't
She has-
trust themselves.
Nobody she can share that personal a story with. Should I bring the cat home?
Yes.
Anyway,
Do you have another one over there?
Oh gosh, yeah. I have a
Oh,
few
give
more.
us something difficult. That one was
Well,
easy.
oh, I don't know. So let me see. This I got to do a little dig in here. So
while we're talking about pets,
ahead.
if I were to have somebody move in with me, she would have to accept my pets. I have a cat, and I have 3 poison dart frogs. That
well,
from
and
the
then
Amazon.
you could threaten her with the poison dart frog.
I don't know, but anyway, that would. But they don't need to be in the bed with it.
No.
Yeah,
I
but
don't.
you can't be guaranteed that the cat's going to take to that person.
This is very true. Cats are picky.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
what makes you think frogs aren't?
Well,
There's a lot more there than you think there is. It's not just hippity hopping around sticking your tongue
I
out.
wrote an ode to a toad once, so maybe I should think up something about frogs so
I
that
like that.
I've got an ode to
ode to a toad.
a
Is it a
poison
limerick? Yeah.
ode to a poison dart frog.
I'll think something up for you. They're not big on being petted, I don't think, probably, those
No,
frogs.
they don't advise touching them.
Okay. Well, that leaves them out of my world because,
They're not very cuddly either, I
No,
would imagine.
doesn't sound like it.
Cuddly at all.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let
well,
stay in
here's
their
one
pond.
that has no animals in it, I don't think. So, this guy is Eric, another advice column. It says, adult child picks dad's side after nasty divorce. The backstory is mom had multiple affairs over this whole time,
Oh, my.
and then recently married her latest fling, and they even now attend the same church.
Oh, holy Toledo.
So there's a big red flag. That the whole family attended. So the child now avoids mom.
I'd avoid the whole damn family and move away.
And then Eric gives this long, the advice guy gives this long answer, but it said, but try to reason and reconnect with your mom.
Yeah, right.
Me?
Great
No.
advice. Oh, my goodness.
Not for me.
Ridiculous.
But anyway, so what do y'all think?
Now, is the child a male or a female?
It's
This
the boy.
child was a male.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, that's a really super complicated. Do you really want an answer to
I
that?
think
Well-
we need real therapy for that. Otherwise, I could consult the card.
Yes, get it. There must be a card for that, Billy.
There must be a card. Yes, I'm like Elizabeth Warren. There must be a
It sounds to we need to address the mother who's having the multiple affairs who finally settles on that.
Exactly.
Right, and this
Yeah,
went on for
right.
years. I'm trying to condense.
Maybe we should get a hold of the young man and have a talk with him about it. you know?
Yeah, if I heard that.
Sounds to me she's the type of person he should ignore.
Oh, my
She's
card. Okay,
she's got it coming.
the cards give this perfect advice. Let go. There you go. Yeah, see, what did I say? I picked the right card. It's like an oracle here. I can just reach in there and
It's a
get exactly
sign.
the right one. Okay, I'll read
Listen
it
up, young man.
Okay, here's my. I guess I better read this in my silly Billy voice.
Nah.
No? Okay, right. All right, let go. You have always known this moment would come. Now it is here. Time to let go of all doubt and fear. It will all pass in time. It will vanish when you choose to simply let go. It cannot be changed. Bless it, send it on its way, send them on their way. Thank them for allowing you to become who you truly are, for you are exactly who you need to be. Now get out of there.
Oh, boy.
Boy, if that doesn't sound like boilerplate advice, I don't know what does.
You know, you're dipping into really serious stuff.
Yeah,
here.
this is serious. I mean, really.
And-
yeah.
But I would preface all of this with these are from the advice
No,
column,
no,
a little bit of a grain
obviously.
of salt, but still.
But it just shows that there are people truly who think that somebody else can solve their problem for them.
Oh yeah.
And we all know that only music can solve the
I
problem.
was going to say we need a song for that. We need a song for that.
That song would have a country background probably to it, wouldn't it?
So I think so, yeah.
Heartache.
I have to sing you a song I wrote when somebody dumped
Oh, dear.
me.
Oh, dear.
Oh, somebody dumped me once. And I was so sad. I wrote a song about it. It was, I'm on the edge of tears nearly all the time lately, ever since you stopped supporting me. And it goes on and on and on.
my
Sounds like a classic to me. Really.
Was the next stanza going to have a pickup truck in it?
Oh, yes, I think it does have a pickup truck.
With a dog and a gun on the gun rack.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And a case of beer.
seriously, that is really the way that music used to be. Well, it still is, but it was country music. Calling on all the things in their natural life that were going on, and sitting in your pickup truck or lying in your bed. I've got tears in my ears from lying in my bed,
Upside down.
crying over you.
Never heard that one.
I got tears in my ears from lying on my bed on my pillow as I cry over you.
I remember that song. Yeah. See,
But
we're older than
relating
you.
to everyday problems, the everyday issues, and these people who write in and say, "Dear Abby, my mother-in-law thinks that I should wear a hat when I go out, and I don't want to wear a hat. I don't feel comfortable in them. But it's caused a rift between me and my husband." And I'm thinking, how silly could that possibly be? But, for her, perhaps, it's a real issue because the mother-in-law is interfering in her world.
Dump the husband.
I don't know. It's often these questions are simple for us, but they're heartfelt for the other person.
Well, sure.
It's like, this is really troubling me. What should I do? Oh dear, woe is
But
me.
you can tell right from the beginning this person doesn't have much of a life because they're reading advice columns for crying out.
There you go.
So,
Well, now that's a little judgmental.
yeah.
That's right.
There are some people who need that.
But if they weren't doing that, they could be watching The Five or something on
Oh,
Fox.
please.
No, we're not getting into. We are staying away from that today.
But
okay.
really, just put on your favorite music and everything will be fine. Is my
Really,
Okay, and
I think that's true.
and back to music. I wish we could have played a song that I wanted, but maybe some later show. John Prine puts it perfectly, I think, in his song "Dear Abby." Have you ever?
I don't think I've ever heard that.
What are some of the lyrics?
Dear Abby, my feet are too long.
Oh, yeah.
My hair's fallen out and my rights are all wrong. I mean, it just goes on and on. And then it's always the answer. I wouldn't do it justice. But please Google it and hear it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's perfect. And it's about
Yeah.
how mostly all the answers are always like, hey,
Yeah.
get a
yes.
life, go get a therapist.
Yeah.
And that's pretty
A
we
lot
have
of
it
it-
here.
a lot of it is get over yourself.
Yeah.
True.
And stop being the victim and just take a hold of
And I have to go
reality.
one more little piece of that. Dear Abby, you won't believe this. My stomach makes noises whenever I kiss. So I thought that was a classic.
Is that a John Prine?
John Prine,
Yeah.
one of my all-time favorites. Anyway,
He's great. He's
okay. Well, let me get to another. Now, no text yet. I'm surprised people aren't
Hey,
texting
what
in
would-
like mad.
this is something I've always wondered about while we have all these music experts here, a little bit away from. Music evolves, right? And we had Glenn Miller and playing all these wonderful songs and everything. Then it evolved a little bit more, and then it was an in-between period. And then Jimi Hendrix came up. If Jimi Hendrix had recorded a song in 1943, would anybody have liked it? Or did we have to
not.
go through that transition
It
to
wouldn't
get
have been the same song. He wouldn't have.
there? Well, suppose he did.
Well, Ray, I think you and I have sort of touched on this subject before, how we go from lush orchestras with strings
Yeah.
playing behind a single vocalist. Like
Right.
Frank Sinatra was singing behind in front of Tommy Dorsey's band for quite a long time. But anyway, as we go along, when did music really explode for the masses? When kids could get their hands on a guitar. We had pianos in the house. People would stand around the piano and somebody would play and everybody would sing, and that was sort of a social thing that was around music, or go to a concert. But when the kids themselves, the young people themselves, heard guitar players and started to say, hey, I want to play the guitar. They liked that sound. But then when you electrified it, it took on a whole other life. And the sound changed. So it didn't have that same same sort of romantic feel. It took on that rock sound that I don't particularly like. It bothers
Well,
my
it could, or
ears,
it
but
could, depending on how you're playing it. If you're
it
playing
really-
it like Jimmy.
But I think
reached a different emotional level for people. It really did.
Her point is well taken. It's when the families began to give their kids guitars, or the kids listened to a guitar player and wanted to become a guitar player themselves. That's when music
And
really
all that
changed.
50s music was people who were not trained particularly, but they just got together. And I understand this completely. Get together with 2 or 3 friends and you start to harmonize. You go, hey, this is great. We're a band. Let's get ourselves out there.
So if that
you know.
that record was, I'm trying to think of one, probably just about a lot of the stuff by Crosby, Stills and Nash, which was kind of thoughtful. And but I don't know if we went a lot wilder than them. Well, Little Richard, let's say, would his sound have worked in 1943?
Oh,
Well, now
gosh, no.
But
You
you're-
don't think?
Oh,
You're talking about music that now is coming from different cultures, that's finding its way into the mainstream.
Right.
And we can blame radio for that. Let's please do that. Because radio is how music gets into people's homes.
Yeah.
Long before we were thinking about buying
When
a recording.
that's
when
right.
music when radio became popular and the radio were playing music, playing records, the records companies were having fits. They're not going to buy them if they can hear them on the radio. And then it evolved to record company representatives going in and paying the disc jockeys to please play
this song over and over and over again, so people will go buy it in the store. Yeah.
And it's like we were talking the other day about how you don't just hear a song once and like it and say, well, I like that song, I'll never hear it again. No, if you liked it, you will hear it again. Right now, what seems to be being played by a lot of different people is Harvest, come on. On that harvest night, on that harvest moon, Harvest Moon. We heard it the other day when we were eating, and
Neil Young song.
Yeah, Neil Young
version,
song.
yes.
Yeah, you might not like him or whatever, but that song touches people, and a lot of people have begun to record it again after all these years, and so that's kind of the magical thing about music. Some of the music that I play on my Stardust show, I mean, that stuff was recorded in the 1930s. That's almost 100 years ago. And it's never gone out of style. People are discovering it like it's new. But, we have that now to fall back on. And like we've talked about before, people will take a song and put a different beat to it, turn it into a country song, turn it into a rock song, whatever. Change the rhythm, change the arrangement. But it's still there and it's the nucleus of the song. And it never really will go out of style. It'll always be something people want to hear. And that's how these songs got popular, because people would call up and say, hey, DJ, play me that song on so-and-so's album, And it became very, very personal. Say, play this one for my sweetheart,
Yeah.
And
they could call into the radio station.
Yeah, like you guys could text in and let us know
if you
what's going on.
Yes, we
sure
need,
could.
You sure could.
we need someone to text a comment in to us here.
And that would be at 541-661-4098. And to backpack, if that's correct, or what Shirley's saying, on Shirley's show, I discovered through Shirley the Boswell sisters.
Oh, yeah.
Who I had never heard in my life, or if I had, I didn't pay it way back when.
They're great.
They are fantastic, and it opened up a whole new music for me. It really did.
Yeah.
And I've even put them on my Pandora as
You wear a T-shirt with their
I have their
pictures on the back.
picture on
Yeah.
it. Yes, I do.
This guy is whole hog.
Well,
into this,
and they were just, and they're from the, I think, 30s, pretty much.
Yeah.
Maybe into the 40s.
New Orleans, yeah.
Yeah.
But see, a lot of people thought they were black because of the sound that they got.
Yeah.
And
Right.
and
I understand they had a lot of influence.
Yeah.
That way.
Well, from
Which
New
a lot of-
Orleans,
a lot
yeah,
of
the
people
big-
did.
yeah, and then we got off into the Chicago kind of sound, and the Diana Ross and the girl groups, and
Oh, man.
it's all evolved. And some of that stuff, it's classic. It'll always be, we'll hear it and it'll evoke a memory for us, or we'll go, oh, I haven't heard that in 100 years. Isn't
There's
that
some
wonderful?
stuff out today I hope can go away.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on.
I don't know, but
I don't either. I rarely
not
listen to the radio, and when I do, it's our station, so my music. So
I like the older style music so much more than what they're putting out now. Some of it,
But we don't
just
understand
doesn't
it
have
either.
It doesn't have a melody. It's
So-
a lot of it doesn't.
when I started doing my shows, I was there were songs that I was trying to find songs that had a meaning. So I would look up certain songs and find out, oh, it's not what you think it is. This person is trying to think of one where the guy's walking around the city streets, and do you know who I'm?
No.
I walk along, and anyway, and what he's talking about is his memories from when he used to do drugs, and he was in these places in L.A. and
no.
you wouldn't know that, or I wouldn't, unless you somehow or other.
Now, what song is this?
Uh,
Is it an old song?
Are you thinking of Chris Christopherson?
Maybe 10 years,
song?
within 10 years.
I don't recognize a song like that, but I don't know every song that's out there.
Well, we're all of a certain age here, and so the music that I remember goes back a very long way. And
me
I think
too.
all of us can say that.
Right.
And so the contemporary music comes from a different place for these people who are creating it. And a lot of it, and I have no complaint about this at all, are about the social and political attitudes of the day. And, Bob Dylan did that, and what's his name?
We could use another Bob Dylan right now.
Well, yeah, if I didn't have to listen to him, but
But his
I'm gonna-
songs,
I'm
his
gonna have
songs
to
were
agree with
amazing.
that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
No, we were talking
oh,
about
that
voices.
voice is screechy, man.
I'm sorry, but it was perfect for some of the stuff he
Perfect.
did.
For the protest songs
Okay,
that he did. Yeah.
I'll go with
Yeah.
that.
Same thing with Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix didn't have a great voice, but boy, he had a great voice for singing the music he sang.
But see, we're talking about music that rises up during an era, political, wartime, that kind of thing. We go from Broadway shows to Hollywood.
So why don't we have political music now?
Oh, we do. It's,
I
it's,
think we
it's
do.
called rap. The rap
Oh,
song.
okay.
Rap is
Yeah.
very
All right.
political.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these things we've been saying, I was just ruminating, I guess, if that's the right word. I was thinking, wow, I wonder if, let's say 60, 70, 80 years from now, will they be saying, boy, that music we had in 2025 was awesome.
Of course.
No, it's just the same old thing,
We're basically
maybe.
stuck on the music we listened to in high school.
Well, I guess
that's
so.
where we were favorite
I
stuff.
guess so. And the one, like I said, back to the original thing, that reminds us of a young love that we either
Yeah.
loved and lost
Well,
or whatever.
What we're looking at now, and I'm really naive about this, so please, if you call in, don't hate me too much. But I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard Taylor Swift. I don't know what her music is about, but evidently it's something that young girls relate to very, very
They
well.
relate to. She's a good songwriter.
So
'cause
I don't know what she's singing about.
she takes.
but-
She's actually. It's when we think about the therapy ladies. She takes a topic that's personal to her and all of the heartbreaks that she has gone through, and she turns it into a really good song. And she gives good advice.
Is she worth listening to?
Yes, she gives good advice to the young people out there, I think.
So how
through her
does that
music.
message change? You say for young people. So what is it? Is it based on love affairs? Is it?
It's based on heartbreak. It's based on love affairs. It's based on personal inner turmoil. It's based on self-esteem issues. It's based on the self-sabotaging. How could I have done that to myself?
Oh, okay.
And how did I get through it? No, she's actually a good therapist in her music.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a Swiftie, but I think she's kind of turned me around. Now we did get a text. I got to get this text in. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay.
What's amazing to me is that today's young adults enjoy rock music from the 60s. Back in the 60s, we would never listen to 60-year-old music. Rock on. Well, probably true mostly. But back to the first music I do really remember was my dad's old country music albums that he played all the time, whether it was Johnny Cash or not Brenda, Patsy Cline, any of that
Cline,
stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, that wasn't quite 60 years prior, but yeah, good point, Texter.
It
So
is-
thank you
yeah,
for.
thanks for the tip.
When in my former life, when I was a cop, I used to do talk to school children sometimes, and I can remember being in like 4th and 5th grade classes. Well, how old are you then? 12, with these kids wearing Jimi Hendrix shirts.
Oh,
And Jimi Hendrix has been dead for
You've got
50
Jimi
years.
Hendrix on the brain today.
But it's
And I-
probably
My wife and I used to do craft shows, and we did one that was actually a fair, and they had 3 or 4 stages, and after the craft show shut down, then the main acts were on the stages, and there was a particularly rainy day, a rainy night, and we're all standing in the rain. Some people may have been a little high, I don't know about that, but anyway.
Do you think?
And the band is called Jimmy, and they're playing Jimi Hendrix music. And they had a little black guy up front who was pretty good. He wasn't Jimi Hendrix, but and all of these people there, none of them in the audience, I think, were even alive when Jimi Hendrix was alive. But they're all just enjoying that music.
Resurgence of that.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I wonder if it's because their parents liked that music, or did they
Or grandparents.
discover it on their own?
could be.
But to the point of the caller, the person that wrote that text, I think we do go back a long way sometimes and pull music from the distant.
Well, again, like I talked about the Boswell sisters from the 30s, and I'm a product of the 60s and the 70s. Yeah, man, there's a lot of good stuff.
Well, but I think there's also a whole lot of music that we're not talking about, and that is people who were raised classical music.
Yeah, like you and me. Yeah, we were both
so
raised on classical.
as a violinist, as a classical violinist, the music that was in my world was classical music. And I think the car rides that we took with the radio on when we would listen to Nat King Cole sing something, or whatever. Then I was a little girl, but I loved that music. But I didn't know that I could have that kind of music in my life until I was, really in my 50s, shall we say, because it just wasn't available to me because the emphasis was on playing classical music. Nothing wrong with classical music. Beautiful themes that have been turned into popular songs because the music itself is gorgeous.
Yeah.
But
Elvis Presley did a song or two that was based on classical, based on operatic
He did
music.
quite a few, yeah.
yeah, but anyways, so in our beginnings, I think that because I had so much classical music in my early life, I didn't know about a lot of this other stuff. Now, if you're raised in a household where the radio is always on, or it's always off, let's say, growing up, that's where the music came from. And then if you bought an album and you could play it on your Victrola, whatever, then you could have your special music. But we relied on the radio. And then along comes TV, and what have we got? We've got variety shows.
Your
And that
Lucky
kept
Strike hit parade
Yeah.
with Snooky Lanson.
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
the dance show that came on every afternoon. I would rush home from school.
Oh,
to watch
American
Bandstand. Oh yeah.
And that really got the music out to everybody at that point in time. So the
Unfortunately,
kids danced to it.
Clark was the purveyor.
Dick Clark. Yeah.
What
yeah.
a jerk.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I love that show.
He never said anything bad about you.
Huh?
You just called him a
I'm
jerk.
sure Dick Clark would say bad things about me. But Mr.
better
Mr.
write-
White
you
Bread
should-
with his slick back hair and stupid jokes
You should
and
write,
talking about music he didn't know a damn
Teenager.
thing about. But go
you
ahead.
should write a letter in to tell us how this affected you growing up and how you've been damaged by it, and the therapy ladies will help you.
Well, maybe I'll do that next week. We'll,
And speaking of the therapy lady,
well, speaking of how things affected me,
Okay, well, we're listening.
I took music very seriously when I was a kid. It basically was a big part of my life. Wonderful
Listening
escapism
to
and all
it.
that kind of stuff.
Listening to it, not playing it, right?
No, unfortunately, I never even tried. But Little Richard was insane. I mean, for those of one of the main things that determined whether or not a song was a hit was how much our parents hated it.
Yes.
If they hated it, we had to love it. That was a criteria.
So was that
that's
traumatic for you?
generational, pretty much. Isn't it?
Was that traumatic for you?
No. So Little Richard was making these songs. Now, whether you like him or not, he was a damn good singer, damn good entertainer.
He was good.
And he had these wonderful songs that were made for us. And along comes this guy from Midwest, some damn place, against slick back hair and suits and all that crap, singing Tutti Frutti.
How do you really feel about that, Ray? We're here to help.
Pat Boone made the most ridiculous covers of Little Richard and Fat Domino songs.
Oh,
And
please.
people bought them.
Yeah.
They frequently outsold This was a great shock in my life that the world is so ignorant.
It was a marketing ploy to get the crossover audience.
You bet.
Well, yeah, it was all those things, but how could we be so stupid to have bought them?
Because we buy into
Ray.
marketing.
Ray, you're very unkind
it
to
was-
those of us who like real music.
Pat Boone versions were actually an insult to
Oh,
Little
they
Richard.
were. I agree. Yeah.
Well, we're down to 5 minutes, and I
Are
don't
we
know if I'm going to
really?
be able to take advantage of our therapy lady and Mr. Ray.
Do you have another one
let
for
me
us?
try this
I think
quick.
Ray needs some help, so maybe we should carry this.
Concentrate on that.
Okay, I have gotten over that.
So let me
What you haven't gotten over is the Dodgers left Brooklyn in 1957. Still brings a tear to my eyes.
let me read the one last one I think I can get through.
Rick has to read
This was
one.
Dear Abby, and it was about an office romance. I've never worked in an office, so I don't know. So what happened was the man is very persistent, approaches this woman coworker multiple times, but rebuffed every time. friendly with, but they were friendly when they had to work together. But then she once told him she has a boyfriend, but he wants to keep at it and ask again one more time. Abby says, oh, yeah, go ahead and ask one more time. Now, really?
Who's
No,
writing this
no,
letter?
no.
The guy that
The
says
guy who
okay.
said, he keeps after this
No,
woman.
no.
that
Get
woman.
over that, right?
That woman should go to HR and complain right
There you
away.
go, there
I
you
mean,
go.
I mean, that would never happen today.
Yeah.
That would never.
Well, it was a
HR
recent-
never even existed in my day.
It was a recent Dear Abby, or it could have been a reprint of an old one,
But
I
see,
suppose.
now you're talking about how things work socially, because I've often thought about this. Most of the time, it's the guy who has to make the moves on the girl, so to speak. And then they created Sadie Hawkins Day. So the girl,
God,
do you remember that from 100,
yeah.
100
Oh,
years
yeah.
ago?
We did it in high school.
Yeah.
Is that coming up
The
sometime?
girl gets to ask the guy. Well, of course, in my case, I asked a guy who would never think of asking me, and that was the end of it. He I picked him up. We went to the dance, said good night. That was
that
it.
was
you know.
it. Yeah.
Don't reach above your raisins.
But guys are taught not to give up. Just go ahead and ask her one more time. You might break through. She might say yes this time. Now, I don't want to get off. I will really need therapy if I start talking about this. But I have experienced men who don't give up. They keep after you. And as a woman, I just don't like it.
That's a creep factor.
It is.
That
a
is
creep.
a creep
It's like,
factor, yeah.
hey, I've already told you no. Give me a break.
You should have said, I'm pregnant, by the way. You'd have seen like
Yeah.
like Dracula turned into a bat and flew away.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. That would have been a good retort.
But socially, it is the guy who's expected to do the asking.
That's
Well,
the norm.
And
but,
don't give up.
It is the
Ask her
norm, but-
again. you know.
but I swear there have been times in my life when I had to be the one to pursue a guy that I liked very much. And after my first husband and I got a divorce, I have to tell you, I was definitely the pursuer. And
How'd that work out?
yeah, well, it worked out for about a year, but
And let me tell you, for a guy, that's a pretty cool thing.
yeah, it could be.
Depends.
I mean, he was 10 years younger than I, so that was even better.
And that's really cool. I wonder what Dear Abby would say about it.
Does everybody feel
I
better
wonder.
after
Yes.
having a chance
Well, God, I hope so. We
Yeah,
had,
well,
to talk about our serious problems?
yeah.
we didn't talk about the Dodgers leaving Brooklyn.
Oh, we'll
And
do
not
that
only
some other
that,
show.
not only did they leave Brooklyn to go to the other side of the world, they traded Jackie Robinson to the Giants.
I know.
In that
I
same-
know, but the Giants came
And the
out.
Giants and the Dodgers were big rivals.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Would you like to have a private session about this, Ray?
I don't know.
Do you
Write
think
Dear
we-
Abby about
maybe
it.
I should do something.
we could help?
Believe it or not,
Dr.
I'm
Laura.
not the only one. I have talked
dear.
to other Brooklyn Dodger fans who still have
They
the
just can't get
same
over it.
problem. Yes.
Well,
A friend of mine is a diehard Giants fan, and she goes to every single game. She has a seat right up front, right behind the pitchers,
base?
right behind home base. She and you would have a great conversation.
Probably could.
Yes.
Yeah. Now the Giants moved too, didn't they?
you do need to get over
yeah.
it. You realize
Well,
that?
they're
don't
right
you?
down. They're right downtown in San Francisco, aren't they?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe we should look into some music that could help you with your problem. Ray.
Yes.
There-
You know, my
there's got
brother,
to-
Take
my,
me
my, bro-
out.
my brother sent me a record to play on my show not long ago, and it was I can't remember the name of it, but it was like when we were growing up in New York as a kids. There was the Duke. Can't remember all anyway, the three, the Duke, Willie, and who was the Yankee one? Anyway,
You're talking to
and about how our world revolved around these three guys. And it was-
yeah.
Well, we've segued
whole
quite a
different
lot
topic.
today. We've segued quite a lot today, but we're down to the last 30 seconds.
Yeah,
We're
but
going to have to
I-
get on out of here.
I think Ray's problem is one we need to concentrate on because you can't let go. Admittedly.
I have a card for that.
I don't think we have time for the card. So I want to thank everybody. You want to
Just
thank
read your
therapy
card,
lady,
read them up for music. And,
Tom, and Michael in the booth. So we're almost out of here.
Thank you.
Till next time,
This is-
if you have a problem, don't forget, we're here.
All right.
Send us a text.
Thank you all.